Бригада ух. Ух. Люша, попкорн дай маме. Убери пока в этот. Потом будете смотреть?
Не от тебя.
United States. How confusing. That was very confusing for the man who thought this was originally the Dutch area. So Irving, though, to the man, the writer whose house you're about to go in, he was actually born in New York City in 1783, just when we became the new United States of America. So we didn't have a constitution yet. That wasn't ratified until 1789. So New York City still had this Dutch influence, and you want to know why now, right? New York originally was the land of the Lenape Indians. Then after the Lenape Indians came the Dutch, and they're the ones who came to this little area, this fertile land here, and they called it New Netherland, and they called New York City New Amsterdam when they bought it from the Lenape Indians. Well, then this war comes along called the Revolutionary War here in the United States, and the British come and they try to take the land away. They want it to become their land. And then all of a sudden everybody here on the land says, we don't want you. They fight, they win this war, and then we become America, the United States of America. And that's very confusing for the Dutch person here, because what happened to my new Netherlands, my new Amsterdam, my new Netherlands? It's gone, it's now America. So Irving actually wrote a book called A Dutch History of New York, and it's a little bit of satire where he talks about the Dutchman losing his America. And he used a pen name, Deirdre Knickerbocker. The Knickerbockers were real people from the Netherlands, but he used their name, but they're not the people in the book that he wrote. But he used his pen name, Deirdre Knickerbocker, and he became slightly famous writing this book. After he writes the book, though, he finds out, though, he still has to work as what he was raised to become, a lawyer, because in the time period, being a writer wasn't proper. He is a writer, so he becomes very popular as a writer, though, but he had to still practice law. I'm going to bring you up a little bit further, up to the War of 1812. Now he's an adult. He's working as a lawyer. He's sent overseas to take care of the family's import-export business, and in Liverpool, which is in England, runs the business to the ground. And then his father says, I'm not paying to take you back home. You're on your own because you ruined my business. Irving spends 17 years traveling Europe, making money, writing. So he uses a pen name, Geoffrey Crayon. Crayon is French for pencil. Geoffrey Pencil. Sneaky, isn't he? So he's writing these little short stories for publication, stories that you would be reading. And some of the stories are the Headless Horseman and the Rip Van Winkle stories, and makes him famous overseas. He now is making enough money to travel, and he decides to come back home. He doesn't come home until he's 53 years old. He's a single man who never got married. But he's now a pop star. He has enough money to buy this property, 10 acres, for about $1,800. He takes a little cottage that was here, builds up and builds back, and what you see. This is not a rich person's home like a mansion. It's not a castle. It's an upper middle class, average upper middle class person's home. Someone who has enough money but not really wealthy. But Irving is the first person ever to make it as solely a writer. Now he's a writer, and he's a pop star. Think like Taylor Swift. Think like something like, I can't even think of anybody else anymore, Elton John for certain people. He is a pop star to the young people, and they all want to know who he is and meet him. And this is why he had enough money now to come home and do this. So you're going to go inside the house. You're going to see the library where he wrote some serious books as well. He actually wrote a history of George Washington, who he's named after, a 5-volume set. He also wrote a history of Christopher Columbus and another man, the Prophet Muhammad, because Irving actually spent 5 years as an ambassador to Spain. So while living in Spain, he learned a lot about the history of Spanish history and also about religion as well. And he was a man who was very serious, wanted to know more about the world. So I'm going to ask you to go inside to the first room on your right. We do ask no photographs are allowed inside, so we're not allowed to use that inside. And we ask you not to touch anything because it is a museum.
You didn't want to have to come out in the dark and go to the outhouses. So the chamber pots would be like upstairs in their room, and it'd be like a little potty, like you probably have seen with baby cousins using or something like that, right? Okay. So anyway, that's where they would do this kind of work. So it's kind of an enclosed area, keeping all that stuff out of the view of their guests. Okay. Up there you see a beautiful building. Because that sits out on the property, it needs to be part of the landscape. It needs to be appealing. That's the ice house. That's where they kept their ice. Okay? They didn't have refrigerators like you have in your house now. You couldn't go to the refrigerator and open the door and everything's nice and cold. They had to keep their food.
Да, это его дом. Идем, смотри, вон посмотрим, идем там что.
Это кладбище. Кладбище. Там очень холоднее. Ой, я как горка съезжаю.
А сейчас пойдем в Шаду смотреть этот фильм. Мультик смотреть, фильм вот этот Шаду.
Это как я могу?
Ой, молодец.
Смотри, он
Как
прям
ты можешь?
крутится. Я его могу поймать.
Угу.
Я пить хочу.
Встань, встань, здесь мокро. Дай бог, чтобы оно не сломалось уж.
Есть какая-то продолжительность? Веками могут стоять?
Нет, секвойи же там вообще тысячелетиями.
Schoolmaster persevered in his ethics who wouldn't be treated as hard. In this way, matters went on for some time. And then one fine autumnal afternoon while school was in session, Ichabod Crane received an invitation to attend a marriage closing to be held that evening at the Tarrytown Farm. Class dismissed. Those who are flung aside.
Ja. Oh, daar kun je springen, maar wat je TV mee gaat.
Здесь вообще ничего не нашла. Я нашла, что можно пикнуть.
Oh, there you go. Full sausage.
Pineapple? They come with pineapple. Pineapple boy?
Где Клюха? Клюха как сок.
Отличный.
Как что?
Галя, а можно бегать?
Можно.
Но ты еще говоришь, что она потеется.
Сильно не бегать.
Ну, там еще отправилась. Нажала.
Налево. Подожди, я сейчас... Да тебе не надо, у тебя есть, он как дефолтом у тебя стоит. Он не в контакт, он у тебя там дефолт стоит в телефоне. Нашла, нет? Нет у них другой этот самый. Да, да, да. Все, ходите видео.
Да, налево.
Будка аккуратно только налево, да, вниз. Сейчас тебе мороженое на вперед попадется.
Я снимала!